folks, let's talk NBA free agency winners and losers. Who are the 3 biggest winners so far? Let us know in the comment section. We'll get some shout-outs here. You and I keep mentioning the obvious one there. It's Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, look.
It's a no-brainer.
When you get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, you've won free agency. Like, even with Durant coming off sitting out next year with the Achilles, you had DeAndre Jordan as well, which, you know, I don't know how much value he actually has. If nothing else, he's a guy that can bang and grab rebounds. But, yeah, clearly the Nets are the number 1 team there. I also love what the Jazz have done.
Yeah, so we got 3 here, the Nets, Pacers, Jazz. Many of those popped up in the comments section, but we're going to go above and beyond for you guys. We're going to give you more than just 3 winners. We're going to give you 6 here. The Pelicans, they're also included, the Warriors, and the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I mean, Miami couldn't do much with their cap situation, but getting Jimmy Butler, like that's pretty good work by them.
Huge win. And that does count, I think, in free agency. So for the Nets here, they also brought in Wilson Chandler on a 1-year, $2.56 million deal. They brought in Garrett Temple. They brought in Kyrie Irving. And, of course, the big reasons why they are big-time, successful stories here, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn outmaneuvering the Knicks is by far the story of free agency so far.
Of course, they extended qualifying offers to Theo Pinson, did not extend one to Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and D'Lo, of course, was part of a sign-and trade that also netted them a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a nice little bonus for them right there. For Durant, though, this one was the big-time win.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how the Nets look this first year without Durant, because all expectations are that he will not play this year. I mean, maybe he could try to come back for the playoffs. I don't think that's smart for him. I don't think it's smart for the Nets, so I would expect him to sit out. Of course, I don't know what the official terms of the contract are going to end up being. I think they're depending
playing around.
Yeah, they're playing around with that there. If it's the max, it's for 164. And of course, look, you get Kevin Durant, you're a winner in free agency regardless of injury status. So that's the story so far.
Kyrie Irving, it's his team at least for next year.
Yeah,
because Durant's not going to play.
And look, I think that's an opportunity for Kyrie to be the number 1 guy again there. Which mixed results in his career when he's been the number 1 guy. Obviously did not go well last year in Boston. Wasn't great in Cleveland before LeBron came on board. So he can change the narrative of that a little bit there. He has a lot of fun, exciting young pieces around him. So I think that'll be fun to play out. But another big get for Brooklyn, of course.
Veteran option in DeAndre Jordan comes in here as well. 4-year, $40 million. Kyrie and Durant took less to get him to Brooklyn and get him more money.
Yeah, that's more of KD and Kyrie just doing their buddy a solid there to not only get him $40 million, but 4-year contract like that. I did not expect him to get that length, but $10 million per year, that's not too bad.
I don't even know if he starts, frankly. I think Jared Allen does.
I would rather start Jared Allen, but a lot of folks think it'll go the other way. Either way, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch at center, the young and up-and-coming Allen, and then DeAndre Jordan, who's a proven vet.
Meanwhile, Wilson Chandler also coming in on a vet minimum deal that just provides some extra wing depth, especially when they're not going to have Kevin Durant for the first year.
Yeah, I think that's the note here with Durant missing year 1. I think Chandler coming in provides some depth at that position. He's a guy that's played and started a lot of games in his career. Not the player he once was, but certainly a guy who can still play and play at a decent level.
All right, Garrett Temple, he's also coming in on a 2-year, $10 million deal. Again, another kind of combo guard wing player to help out Brooklyn.
Combo guard who can shoot a little bit. He can play a little bit of defense. So a good depth piece. When you get superstars, these are the type of players you put around them. Versatile depth pieces. That's what Garrett Temple is.
All right, so here is the Nets' current lineup. Of course, Durant is not going to play in year 1, but this makes more sense to have Durant up there. Dinwiddie, Garrett Temple, Prince coming in there off the bench. Rodions Kuric could also play some power forward. They have Wilson Chandler there now. It's a good squad.
Yeah, I mean, depth is the name for Brooklyn. They've done a good job of getting star power with the depth they already have, whereas the Lakers, very top-heavy, even if they do get Kawhi. I like what Brooklyn's doing. The fact that they've pulled this off after where they were after that Celtics trade a few years ago, it's really one of the biggest stories in NBA in the last decade or so, I think.
They definitely are a winner of NBA free agency, but are they the winner? Type Y for yes, type N for no. What do you make, Harrison?
I still think they are. The only way they aren't is if Durant is a shell of himself when he comes back. But even then, are people going to look back and be like, oh, that was such a bad decision? Of course not. So, yes, they are the winners of free agency this year. But if you think it's someone else, type N for no. Maybe give us a team that you might think was the winner of this year's free agency so far.
Let's move on to the Pacers here. Two big moves. Malcolm Brogdon as part of a sign-and-trade. Jeremy Lamb comes in as well. I'm a big fan of what Indiana did.
And I like Indiana realizing, look, we're a smaller market team. Let's not waste our time with these bigger fish like the Mavericks have done in the past. By the way, teaser, they will not be on this winners list. But yeah, look, you overpay a little bit for Brogdon in that sign and trade, but that's what you have to do when guys are restricted and you're a smaller market team. Of course, Collison will retire, so he's kind of your replacement there. I'm interested to see that kind of backcourt with him and, of course, I can't think of his name now. Oladipo, because they're kind of similar players, combo guards, not quite true point guards, but I like what Indiana has done.
Now that first-round pick going to Milwaukee, by the way, does have some pretty heavy protections. It's all lottery picks until like 2026.
Yeah, so it's not a huge pick.
It's going to be a late first-round pick.
Yeah, more than likely there.
Unless the Pacers suddenly suck for the next 5 straight years.
Yeah, don't think that's going to happen. They're going to be a playoff team in the East.
So Brogdon comes over to Indiana, part of a sign-and trade there, as we mentioned. He'll be kind of a combo point guard along with Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, and look, Oladipo needed backcourt help. He had too much on his plate. A couple years ago had a great run getting them to the playoffs, and last year, of course, the ACL blows out. So they needed help for him. That's what Brogdon will provide, with also elite shooting as well. So playmaker, shooter, he can do that. Jeremy Lamb,
I loved it.
I think it's a good value signing here. He got off to a slow start in his career, but the last couple years has really ramped up his game.
Look, frankly, I think Jeremy Lamb was the second-best player on the Hornets last season.
Yeah, I think so. He's, early in his career, he was kind of a laughing stock, but look, he's become a pretty good scorer in the NBA.
Come in as a sixth man, could maybe even start alongside in some 3-guard lineups there with Brogdon and Oladipo. If Oladipo needs some more time to recover, Lamb probably starts there. Some promising bench pieces as well for Indiana. They're going to go with a weird lineup overall of going with almost 2 centers in Sabonis and Miles Turner. But I think that'll be key there for the Pacers.
I love the trade for Warren, too. I know that's not part of, winners and losers of free agency, but a guy who can really score, had a good year in Phoenix last year, so you have him in that lineup as well. I like this lineup. I think it's a good squad for Indiana. I think they can push for the top 4 in the East.
All right, so folks, make sure you are subscribed. Here are the updated numbers, 123 and then 353. We're getting there.
We're close to that 456, 103 more subs, and we get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as Tom desperately wants to see.
I want it. But, of course, the main goal there is 125K.
Yeah, less than almost 1,700 away there.
It's quick math there, nice.
Hey,
I'm not good
math.
at it.
So that's what I provide here. Mitch and Tom aren't good at math. I am the math expert here at Chat Sports. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Hit that subscribe button.
Another 15 just came in as well, so thank you all very much for that. All right, the Utah Jazz, big-time winners, I think. If it was just Bojan Bogdanovic, I wouldn't have been as convinced, but they got Emmanuel Mudiay, and I love the pickups of Ed Davis and Jeff Green, too.
Yeah, and of course, again, not part of free agency, but Mike Conley kind of leading the ship there. I'm a little higher on the Bogdanovic trade. They needed more shooting there. Yeah, you overpay there, but that's kind of what you have to do. Mudiay, I'm intrigued by what he can give them if he continues to develop under Quinn Snyder there. I like that fit, but I think Utah is one of the top 3 teams in the West after what they've done the last month or so.
I agree.
I think this is a loaded squad who was already very good. Donovan Mitchell won't have nearly as much on his plate now that you've got Conley and some other guards coming off the bench. I like Utah's team a lot.
Look, they won 50 games last season.
Yeah.
Denver won 54. I think they're going to be really good again next year. It's pretty much the same squad. Portland won 53. They should be good. Houston won 53, but Utah got better.
And I think significantly better.
And we're not even including Mike Conley here.
Yeah.
That's trade. That's draft. So
Ed Davis is kind of the throw-in on what they've done in free agency. He is a proven backup big who can rebound and play defense.
And a perfect fit for them, too.
Yeah, and especially after losing Derek Favors. You get that good value contract there. So I'm a huge fan of what the Jazz have done.
Yeah, I think Utah here sets themselves up for a lot of success here. Again, here is their current lineup. They've got shooting with guys like Bogdanovic and Ingles. They got some quality bench pieces in Ed Davis, Mudiay. You want to include Dante Exum, I guess, Royce O'Neal, Jeff Green, Mitchell. Spider Mitchell remains still one of the best young guards in the NBA. Now he's got Mike Conley, too. And this team's going to win 50 games.
You could play lineups, too, where Jeff Green comes in for Gobert, where all 5 can shoot. All 5 can shoot from 3. So they're going to be able to be really creative with their lineups, with their roster. I like Utah. I think they're going to be a force in the West next year.
All right, folks. So, again, Utah here, one of the big-time winners in NBA free agency. Of course, they're not the only winner out there right now. We'll get to some more here in a little bit, but just to briefly recap where we're at. Pacers, Nets were the two biggest winners. Also, the New Orleans Pelicans here. They check in next. J.J. Redick is the big one there. Derek Favors was technically a trade, but it really was a free agent because he was going to get waived.
Yeah, and again, Utah decided to go cheaper with Ed Davis, so they move on from Favors, which I love for New Orleans, by the way. Gives them a banger inside. I love the Redick signing for them because when you go young in the NBA, you like to have a blend of some experienced veterans. How about a guy who averaged 18 points and can shoot the lights out of it in J.J. Redick? That makes a lot of sense there. We'll see if they have any more moves up their sleeves, but I think New Orleans, as soon as they won the draft lottery, really found a way to do a good job at obviously getting Zion and manipulating that draft a little bit, trading with the Hawks, and now what they've done in free agency.
Redick was a surprise to me on a 2-year, $26 million deal because that had not been mentioned at all.
Yeah, I just assumed he'd stay with Philly or go out west to one of the LA teams and play for a title contender. Don't think the Pelicans are quite there yet, but he gets a good contract and provides leadership on that team.
Yeah, Derek Favors comes in, part of a trade with the Pelicans. Now, in reality, this was a free giveaway. They gave up future seconds from the Warriors. So, oh no, they traded 2 picks in the 50s.
Yeah, so what?
It doesn't really matter there in the end. So this is their current squad. I'll also make note, Darius Miller back to them. They got a lot of pieces here. They're pretty deep, too. I mean, Darius Miller not even on their bench. He started games for them last year. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Josh Hart, Redick, Favors, Okafor. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and of course, all the assets from the Lakers trade for AD, to get Lonzo Ingram and Josh Hart back. I'm a big fan of it. I think the Pelicans, they'll be in the mix for a playoff spot next year. And who doesn't want to see Zion? How about this? Just came up with this. Okay. Lakers 1 seed, Pelicans 8 seed. Zion versus LeBron, first round matchup. Get your popcorn ready.
That's fun.
Let's do it. I sign me up for that.
The Pelicans are a bird, so which bird is best? Let us know in the comments section.
Well, it's Larry, of course.
Okay, well, how about not Larry? Because Larry is the best bird.
Favorite actual bird?
Or our bird's trash. That's a take I've seen a lot on Twitter, so let me know in the comments section.
Our bird's trash. That's another, answer that question as well.
Someone said Hawks. Good point.
I was just
not crows. They're a trash
Pelicans are pretty cool. I was just out in the Bay Area and saw some out there. So
someone said Birdman.
Big Bird, of course.
The gang has it right. It's definitely Big Bird. I think Big
Birdman, the loser ex-basketball player or the rapper? That's the real question there.
It's definitely a basketball player. Also, Penguins, also an acceptable answer as well. Let's move then to the Golden State Warriors. Willie Cauley-Stein, we don't know his deal. It should be 1 year for a little bit above the minimum. Kevon Looney comes in. D'Angelo Russell comes in as part of a sign-in trade there. Then Kevin Durant leaves, but they keep Klay Thompson. And they also bring in Glenn Robinson, and I think they're going to waive Sean Livingston in the near future as well.
Look, normally when you lose your best player, you would be considered a free agency loser, but all signs pointed to Durant leaving. I know there was some hopeful thinking down the stretch of the year that maybe, especially with the injury, maybe he would come back. But look, to salvage that with getting D'Lo in the trade, obviously you brought back Klay Thompson. You bring back Looney on a cheapish contract when I thought he could have gotten paid much more elsewhere, and Cauley-Stein for like nothing. I mean, that's pretty good work from Bob Myers in Golden State. And, we have to see how they all play together and how it all fits. It's going to be a different looking squad, but I think on the surface, they're definitely free agent winners.
Now, I will make note here, we had a super chat come in from Lucas Magruder, who's asked about the Warriors still being a title contender. Yes, I think they are because of their moves. The key, they could have regressed with no Klay Thompson, won like 40-ish games or maybe 45 games, but because of their moves, I think they absolutely are.
Yeah, and the key is staying afloat until Thompson comes back. Just be, in the mix, and then you make that push. They're not a team that needs high seeding to make a run in the playoffs. They just need to get in. You get in, and they will certainly be title contenders yet again.
All right, folks. So Willie Cauley-Stein, I also love that one moving in a big way. That was a huge pickup for them.
Yeah, for like
nothing. Love that. For
I thought he could be close to $8 to $10 million for another team.
Now, they also lost Andre Iguodala. This was part of the move to afford cap space for D'Angelo Russell because they were hard capped because NBA rules are really complicated there. Future first that's protected that actually might end up being okay.
Yeah, and they needed scoring. I mean, look, with losing Durant and Thompson missing a good chunk of the season, they needed somebody to take the scoring load off of Steph Curry. So you bring in D'Angelo Russell. He should be able to give you 20 or so points per night. That's the idea here, clearing cap space to get D'Lo, of course.
All right, so here's the Warriors' current lineup. I actually don't really know who plays the 3 for them. Maybe it's McKinney. Maybe it's Leonard Robinson even. I don't know what the options here are.
Yeah, maybe they still get involved with the cheap veteran. We'll have to wait and see there. But, obviously when Klay comes back, I think you'll see a lot of that 3-guard lineup where Klay actually plays the 3. At 6'7", he can do that. But yeah, that opening night lineup is going to be very fascinating to watch and to see what that looks like. Penciling in Jordan Poole says quite a lot about where they are depth-wise right now.
All right, folks. So we know a lot of you guys don't like the Golden State Warriors. So what NBA team do you hate the most?
Man, I hated D. Wade's Miami Heat, of course, living here in Dallas. I don't know. That's a tough question. Now, with a lot of players on the move now, because I don't hate Golden State as much anymore because they're not super team Golden State. So I wouldn't have them as my top team. Once Durant went there, I couldn't stand them because I thought that was such a weak move by him.
I see Clippers. I see a lot of Lakers. Can't say I'm surprised by that one. Golden State. Grizzlies, that's a weird team to hate. Pacers.
Not good enough to hate.
Lakers definitely have it. Now, I will make note when we ask the favorite team, the Lakers often win that too, so I guess that does kind of make sense there.
Well, it's kind of like the Cowboys in the NFL. You either love the Cowboys or you hate them. That's
Shout
what
out the guy who said Tom the Heat. Thank you for following our swearing rules here. Now, speaking of the Heat, they're actually one of our other free agency winners. Hassan Whiteside got shipped out to Portland. That was a win for them. Yep. But the biggest reason why, they actually got a superstar in Jimmy Butler. Yeah,
I mean, coming into free agency, we didn't even really consider Miami as a team that could make a lot of moves. They're able to dump Hassan Whiteside. We'll see if they keep Goran Dragic. They're able to make the money work now with Butler. Maybe he becomes a deadline type of move to a contender, because I don't think even with Butler, Miami's quite ready to contend. They're going to have to add pieces later in their contract. Yeah, I think this is a probably 5 through 8 team in the East, depending on how it all plays out. But yeah, you get Jimmy Butler when you really weren't expected to do anything in free agency. That's certainly a win for them.
And here was the 4-team chaos trade that ended up being the Heat got Jimmy Butler and Myles Leonard. They also shipped off Mo Harkless, part of the trade to get rid of Hassan Whiteside to L.A. Future first ends up going to the Clippers there. Portland gets back Hassan Whiteside. Thought that was a good trade for really kind of all parties involved in the end.
Yeah, I think so. I think Miami and Whiteside's partnership had clearly come to an end, and Portland just taking a flyer on a guy in his last year of his deal as they dish out a couple of expiring contracts as well. I think that makes some sense there.
So now the Heat are focused around Jimmy Butler. They have, for now at least, kept Goran Dragic. They're doing to free up a little bit more money by maybe finding a trade or waiving some people. Dion Waiters, he's still on that squad for now. Kelly Olynyk, they have a lot of extra bigs down there, which maybe they start a Johnson or an Olynyk and put Waiters on the bench and keep Winslow playing. Options, though, in the end for Miami.
Yeah, it's an intriguing team right now. Not even close to a contender as it sits. I think Miami's more thinking maybe next year, the year after that, they can get more shooters around Jimmy Butler because
like Tyler Hero.
Waiters is not going to be a guy that's going to shoot consistently out there. Winslow's kind of been the same guy since they drafted him. Not a ton of improvement for him. So interesting type of roster, but obviously when you get Jimmy Butler, that's a good step in the right direction.
And no to, who was that? That was GW Kingshaw. Dragic is not on the Mavs. Goran Dragic was not part of that trade. That kind of fell apart more on the Mavs coming up here. But there is life, all right? Life involves losers. I'm sorry, guys. Not everyone's a winner. No one gets a participation trophy just for showing up and putting in a good effort. This is the NBA. So who are your 3 biggest losers so far? Let us know in the comments section. And then while you get those flowing in there, I see a lot of Knicks. I'm not surprised by that one. We'll do a little bit better. We'll give you 5 here. The Hornets, the Knicks, the Clippers, the Rockets, and the Mavs. And yes, especially for the Clippers and Mavs, this can definitely change. In fact, I think for Dallas it does change.
Yeah, and I think
we'll get there.
You could, asterisk Lakers, if they don't get Kawhi, that you could throw them on this list too. But yeah, in the Mavericks and Clippers space specifically, with the Clippers, if they get Kawhi, not only are they not losers, they're winners. And the Mavericks, I don't know if there's anything they could do to become winners in free agency, but if you
get out of the losers side.
If you get a Danny Green and or a Marcus Morris or make a trade for a Dragic or something like that, you've at least done something to get yourself out of the losers. But as it sits right now, and also Houston, this is where we are.
Yeah, and I'll make note, whichever team does not get Kawhi, also losers, be it the Lakers or the Raptors, and Clippers, of course, can change.
Absolutely.
The Hornets, though, for me, Harrison, remain the biggest losers, because why the hell are you paying Terry Rozier almost $20 million a year?
Yeah, I mean, considering you weren't willing to bring back Kemba for the max, and reportedly really not even close to the max, you turn around and give a guy who's way worse than Kemba $60 million almost. I mean, I just don't really get that. And I get if you're Charlotte, you have to fill out your cap a little bit, but I don't know if paying Terry Rozier is that answer. Look, he played really well in the playoffs for Boston a couple of years ago, but he is not a guy I view as a future all-star or anything like that.
He'll put up some numbers because there's no one else on
He'll
that
be a volume
squad,
guy. He'll probably average 17, 18 points, but it'll be on like 40% from the field and low 30s from three. It's not going to be pretty for Charlotte.
Woke Fitness putting in fake news claiming that Terry Rozier is better than Kemba because he's not at all. Now, look, Rozier I think will actually put up good numbers for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a volume scorer. Someone's going to have to score for them.
There was nobody else who was going to pay Terry almost $20 million.
No, I think
Plain and simple.
I think he would have been in the 12 to 14 range.
Oh, yeah, at most.
I mean, but 18 to 20, I mean, that's
He got
absurd.
more than like all the other point guards that weren't max contracts.
Yeah, I mean, Pat
makes
Beverly
sense.
got $40 million over 3
Yeah,
years, not
it's just,
60.
I don't understand that at all. They lost Kemba Walker, which, look, I think that was the right move, but they've messed up the before and the after. They should have traded away Kemba because he was going to be too expensive because they're not good enough to win with Kemba. And that's okay. The rest of the roster's just in terrible shape. But then you throw money at Rozier, I just don't get
And
it.
they've done this before when you max out Nick Batum and you pay, some of these other guys big money in the past. They gave Jeremy Lamb a decent contract. Now he's gone. Like, they've made this mistake before, and here they are doing it again, paying Rozier way more than market value.
You're throwing big money at Nick Batum. You got Cody Zeller making money. Bismack Biyombo is one of the worst contracts
so
in the
bad,
NBA.
yeah.
Marvin Williams making big money. MKG's making big money. He's the best of that group, but it's not a good contract.
Let's face it, not only did they lose free agency, this is Charlotte's one of the bottom 3 teams, I think, when you project the next 5 years or so. There's no upward momentum for them. Not a ton of assets, bunch of bad contracts.
All right, so folks, speaking of Carolinas, which location makes the best barbecue?
I'm partial to Texas barbecue, of course. I think Kansas City barbecue is overrated. I've only had it once.
It's good barbecue,
but I
I'm
think
actually going to go with Kansas City there.
I think it's overrated. I think Memphis is the best, though.
Okay.
I've had Memphis barbecue a few times. A couple of my buddies from college are from Memphis. It's excellent. Memphis 1, Texas barbecue 2.
As we continue to take a time on top of Charlotte and Carolina's there, Carolina barbecue's trash. So it's bad. Plain and simple bad.
Rough times for the Carolinas.
All right, folks, which city are you watching from? Let us know in the comment section. I guess apologies to Carolina barbecue fans, but, I mean,
I didn't even know Carolina.
it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's the worst of the group by far.
Is that like saying, yeah, I like Midwest Mexican food better than Tex-Mex?
That's a great comparison.
That's trash. That's just not. No one actually thinks that.
Mustard base is not the way to go with barbecue. So
what city are you living in? Baltimore, Pittsburgh,
Baltimore,
Norfolk, whatever.
It's pronounced Baltimore.
Okay.
That's how they say it.
Philadelphia, Dallas, shout out. Detroit, Cali, not a city. Rip City, big Portland fans
There
in
you go.
here.
I like that one. All right, another big-time loser, the New York Knicks. And I'll make this point that, as I always do, number one, I'll get to that point later. But the big one here as it relates to the Knicks, expectations matter.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have money to spend, well, hey, okay, you're not going to necessarily be a big free agency winner or loser because you can't do anything. The Knicks had room for 2 max contracts. That was their plan. And this is what they got instead, the best bench in the NBA.
And keep in mind, they traded Porzingis for basically nothing just to create those 2 max contract spots. And what do they get? Julius Randle, who's a nice young player, and a bunch of veterans on 2-year deals that, yeah, it'll get them somewhat competitive this year. They might challenge for a back-end playoff spot, but that was not even close to the goal. You wanted to pair Durant and Kyrie, and then it's a joke when your owner comes out and says, yeah, we didn't want Durant because we didn't want to give him the max coming off the Achilles. Total trash statement from Dolan. I mean,
Fire Dolan.
Yeah.
Press F in the chat.
Yeah. It's just a disaster for the Knicks, and I feel bad for Knicks fans because the anticipation leading up to this, Tom, was huge, and they came up empty.
We're going to get Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and then they only got Julius Randle, who I like. I actually think it's a fine deal here. He's a good fit in New York, but, I mean, it's not.
Again,
it's
not
a
the expectation.
Yeah,
that's not what you were shooting for if you're the Knicks.
You bring in Taj Gibson, you're throwing money at all these veterans. A lot of these guys, by the way, after Randle, are on 1-year deals with a second-year team option, which I actually like there.
That makes sense because next year's free agency is trash, so they'll probably opt into most of those guys. And then in 2021, you can try again in free agency.
And look, the Knicks will be a better team this year. They might push for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think so.
Which I actually think is bad for them.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Just
not... exactly. Tank.
Just tank again after you miss out on Durant and Kyrie, right? Like, if you want to bring in Randle, fine, but don't bring in 7 guys on 2-year deals to shore up your roster. You're not fooling anybody into thinking you're a contender.
Yeah, and I don't think that was the best move for them in the end. Like, they needed to find either be bad or be good. Like, don't be caught in the middle. That's where the Knicks are going to be this year.
Yeah, being in the middle is the worst place you can be in the NBA.
They bring in Bullock. They bring in Elfrid Payton. These, again, they have the best bench in the NBA.
Their point guard roster is actually garbage.
So maybe they end up finding a scenario where, like, they're able to make a trade and they ship out, like, a Bobby Portis for a bad contract and a pick, which they should have done this offseason. Like, take on the bad deals.
That could be an option for them. Look, I just – and they signed like 4 power forwards. It's weird what they've done. And really, it happened fast. Like, Durant and Kyrie signed off the bat. So, panic time, let's sign 7 players within 24 hours. I just don't know.
Shout out Angel Hernandez, who says Portis was overpaid, which, I mean, sure, maybe. But again, I actually dig their bench a lot, by the way. Reggie Bullock, Alonzo Trier, Elfrid Payton, Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson.
Shout out Taj Gibson continuing to get paid, by the way.
That's a great bench. That's the best bench in the NBA. But that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when your starting 5 is not great.
And there's promise there for sure with Robinson and Knox, and I still have some
Barrett,
belief in DSJ, and of course Barrett's now your hopeful star going forward, but the expectations were not met. So grade the Knicks free agency moves, A, B, C, D, or F.
I'll give them a D because they didn't do nothing, but it's an F from a perspective standpoint because they didn't come close to reaching their expectations.
The hope was that the Knicks were going to be big winners, massive winners there. Instead, they just add a bunch of depth players.
Yeah.
I see a lot of C's coming in. I think that might be a fair answer there as well. All right, the Clippers, meanwhile, I like bringing back Patrick Beverley.
Yeah.
Magruder got the bag. I'm kind of surprised by the price tag there.
Yeah, it's a little rich for him. And again, they're waiting on Kawhi, so that deal.
And I don't think that they get him.
That deal doesn't become official. Yeah. So as it sits right now, they haven't made any significant moves. So at this point in time, they are free agency losers. Obviously, that can change with Kawhi. While we don't know what's going on with Kawhi at all, I would rank them 3rd on the list behind the Raptors and Lakers.
I would as well. Again, I like the Beverley pickup there, but the Clippers' plan, much like the Knicks here, and again, I'll make this note, things can change. We're only beholden to our takes as of right now at 11:20 a.m. Central Time here. The plan was to bring in Kawhi and Durant or Butler. It didn't happen.
And also, Tom, a lot of teams get credit for bringing back their core roster, which, you bring back a Beverley, you're doing that. But the Clippers, unlike like the Nuggets, for example, just bringing it back makes a lot of sense. Young players that are rising. Clippers needed to add what they have. They haven't done that yet.
I also did like the Clippers picking up Mo Harkless for a free future first-round pick. Like, they didn't have anything there.
Yeah, and it's not like Harkless can't play. I mean, he's a bench piece that can provide quality minutes there.
But this was spun as if, oh, look, we got Mo Harkless. That's a great piece to lure Kawhi. I'm like, no, it's not. He's a nice ninth man.
Yeah, and bringing back Beverley is not luring Kawhi to the Clippers. If they get Kawhi, it's because he wanted to go to L.A. and he didn't want to be in LeBron's shadows. That's serious. That's the only reason.
And look, like, the Clippers have a good squad. They overachieved last year. Shout out to them. But they're not really a team you want to roll it back with necessarily. They wanted upgrades. They did not find them.
Yeah, and look, maybe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a guy that takes a big step forward next year, but you need a star to pair with what you've got. And right now, it's not looking super likely.
All right, folks, so which team will Kawhi sign with? Type TOR for the Raptors, LAC for the Clippers, LAL for the Lakers.
I'm still leaning Raptors, but I'm not saying that confidently.
Yeah, as someone says, the Slippers are going to whiff on Kawhi. It's a fun typo there. Most of these votes are for TOR right now, and then the LAL ones will come in. Not very many there for LAC.
Yeah.
Let's move to another team here. That is the Houston Rockets. Speaking of rolling it back, that's just what they're doing.
Yeah, it appears that way. I think they might be in the mix for Andre Iguodala if he gets bought out in Memphis, which I expect he will. But look, Daryl Morey throughout the offseason has talked about, look, we're gonna revamp this roster. We're gonna try and trade Capella. Then they got this Jimmy Butler idea. That didn't happen. So while their core is still good, and I think they'll be a top 4 or 5 team in the West probably, with it being wide open, they've proven they don't have enough to win with what they have. They needed to add something. If they add Iggy, I think that's significant for them, but as of now, they've done nothing. They've brought back Austin Rivers on the minimum contract. You bring back Daniel House. That's not moving the needle for me.
Yeah, they wanted Jimmy Butler. Again, expectations. Their plan was, we're going to make room for Jimmy Butler, and the Heat did what they were going to do.
Pat Riley outmaneuvered Daryl Morey. I mean, it's as simple as that.
And look, I am intrigued by the idea of running it back, but at the same time, Houston would have benefited from what the Jazz did in terms of not Boyan, but like finding an Ed Davis pickup, finding Emmanuel Mudiay. Houston, we're going to make changes to our roster. Well, just kind of
I mean, to not even get more involved in the bargain bin hunting is pretty disappointing, I think, if you're Houston.
Yeah, so Houston, again, it could change there, but I think they're going to run it back with the same squad that they had last year. Clint Capella, Harden, CP3, Gordon, Tucker.
Which, again, they're going to compete in the West.
Where's your big man depth, though?
But it's not enough. Yeah, maybe they bring back Kenneth Faried for the minimum.
Bring in Boogie. Do it, cowards.
I think you should flirt with it. I hadn't thought of that, but I think you should if you're Houston. Why not, right?
I mean, you
the
need
problem is, can you
depth
sell
there.
him on a bench role? Because I don't think you can start him and Capella together. I don't think that works.
Bring in JaVale, I guess. But Boban return? I don't know. I'm just throwing out options there.
I think they probably end up bringing Kenneth Faried back.
Faried would make sense.
Who had a nice little revitalization last season in Houston.
Bring back Melo.
Yeah.
Kidding. Totally kidding there.
Very poorly.
All right, folks. Type S if you guys are already subscribed. We'll give you guys some shout-outs here as these flow in. Let me get the exact numbers here, too, for you. But type S there if you guys are subscribed to us here on Chat Sports. About 4,000 watching. I bet you're not all subscribed here. So type in S if you guys are already subscribed. Woke Fitness, Man Detroit, Caesar Slushy. That's Slushy. I almost thought it was Slushy there for a second there. Neil, Mason, Gerard, Sal, Mason, Jared. They're coming in real fast.
What's that current number there, Tom?
I'm pulling it up.
We approaching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We are at.
We got Keem, Nene.
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 9. We're so close.
We're right there.
I'll have to keep refreshing here.
Tell a friend. YouTube.com/chatsportstv.
Somebody make sure I get that screenshot, because I'm going to be real disappointed if we aren't here. Let me check the numbers again. I refreshed. We're at. It's frozen. No.
They're coming in too fast, Tom.
They're coming in too fast.
They're freezing your computer. So make sure you're subscribed. Type
1,
S.
2, 3, 4, 4, 9.
If you're already subscribed.
I'm going to refresh it. Hope
7
we get it
more.
Here. All right, in the meantime, Harrison, take us to the Dallas Mavericks and why things have definitely changed, but for now, it's been a loss of a free agency offseason.
Yeah, and they're putting an asterisk there because, again, like you said, they can do things that improves their roster. They've really just brought everybody back.
Oh, it's gone!
Breaking news: Tom did not get his wish.
It jumped from 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 0.
Hey,
Thank you guys.
You know what that means, though?
But,
more subscribers. Let's get to 125K. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Yeah, look, as far as the Mavericks go,
so disappointing.
They've brought back really most of their role players. You extend Dwight Powell. You get Porzingis to commit, obviously, to that 5-year deal. J.J. Barea is back on the minimum. Dorian Finney-Smith, Kleba. You get Seth Curry, who provides much-needed shooting for them. But the expectation coming in was not that they would get a superstar, but that they might get a Pat Beverly or they might be in on Malcolm Brogdon. Those things faded very quickly, so now the Mavericks are in a holding pattern, and as of now, you'd have to consider them a free agent loser.
And I think this will change if they can get it Danny Green and or Marcus Morris, but their only big move was to bring in Seth Curry. That's not enough when you got all that cap space.
Yeah, and bringing back your core, like, yeah, you deserve credit for that, but who's going to pay Maxi Kleber $36 million over 4 years? Probably nobody. So,
who's going to pay Dorian Finney-Smith 3 years, $12 million? Probably nobody.
Yeah. So I mean, look, you had to bring back that depth, and I get that. What I do like what the Mavs have done is they've signed all these guys to 3 or 4 year deals, so you have continuity.
Yeah.
Now you get Danny Green on a 3 or 4 year deal. That helps as well. But as of now, haven't done enough for me. They are free agency losers as we sit on day 4.
And I think the biggest thing for Dallas here, because you've now locked up Dwight Powell for an extra year going forward, you've locked up Dorian Finney-Smith for extra years, you brought back JJ, you brought back Maxey, and you signed Seth Curry. Next year, once the Kristaps extension takes effect and all these other deals takes effect, you're not going to have money. So, and you can use the cap holds for now and not re-sign your players to have it affect the cap in the same way. Well, next year. So it's now or never to spend that $20+ million.
Plus,
or it's gone.
Plus, you're going to have to pay Luka in a few years.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, you have to bolster that depth a little bit more here, and that's kind of where we're waiting and seeing to see if the Mavericks are able to do that.
And they haven't found a center yet so far. So grade the Mavs for agency moves. A, B, C, D, or F. Again, expectations matter. We thought they were going to go after the pipe dream was Kemba and Al Horford, never came close. All the moves that they wanted never happened.
Yeah.
Right now they got Seth Curry. That's it.
Yeah, I mean D+. I mean Curry is going to be a key bench guy for them, so they get a little bit of credit there. But that's really all they've done. So I can't give them more than that. Maybe a C- if you factor in you locked up Porzingis, but it's not like that was a surprise.
All right, folks, keep those votes flowing in. I think it's actually mostly B's here right now, although now I see some D's and F's, so maybe that's not
all over the place. If you're saying B, then you somehow know that the Mavs have signed Danny Green.
All things Mavs says A because he's gone full homer there. But grade the Mavs for agency moves A, B, C, D, or F.